Well, it's really good to be here today. And as the introductor said, I'm going to start by just talking about some of the things that are happening in 2021. It's very unusual times for all applicants, and I just wanted to provide some reassuring information. So I think the first thing that I'd really like to make clear is that we know that those people applying to start medical school in 2021 have had a lot of significant disruption to their schooling. And medical schools are very aware of this, and they really want to make sure that these students are well supported. So just really want you to know that they know that it's all very difficult, and they have your back and are actively thinking about how they can support you. So if you've been researching aptitude tests, the three most common ones being BMAT, UCAT and GAMSAT, which is a graduate test, you'll know that for BMAT, the September sit has been cancelled, but there will be a November sit that will be held at test centres. For UCAT, you can take it at Pearson VUE centres, which is where you take your driving test, but there will also be the option to do some online proctoring. GAMSAT is moving to a completely online test this year. And then the other thing that I just wanted to raise is that medical schools are actively looking at ways to run interviews that comply with social distancing. And I think that that means that in this sort of next admission cycle, most will be online, because you kind of have to plan just in case you have local lockdowns or a second peak. You wouldn't want to suddenly do it at the last minute, so it's better to be prepared. So I'm not an admissions dean, but I do work with a lot of admissions deans, and I'm going to sort of try and share with you some of the things that I've learnt about what are those sort of, things that might not be immediately apparent about getting into medical school. So people have a lot of anxiety about work experience, and I think that the best thing to think about work experience is that it isn't about one narrow definition of going into a hospital and getting that clinical work experience. It's everything. It's the range of activities that you've done. So anything you were involved in school, any charity work or volunteering work that you do, any community work you do, maybe with like guides or the St. John's Ambulance or things associated with a church or a temple or a mosque. All of those things are considered valid experience for applying to medical school, plus paid employment, of course. So as I say, it's not about shadowing lots of different types of doctors, but it is about reflection. And when we say reflection, it's about thinking about what you learned from that experience and how did that experience allow you to demonstrate that you have the skills, values and attributes needed to study medicine. So we know that healthcare is a team subject. It's a team, the delivery of healthcare is essentially a team activity. So if you've worked in a shop with different colleagues, that's how you can think about how that allows you to show teamwork. So people are really worried about work experience at the moment, and that's really understandable because a lot of the things that you would normally do aren't happening at the moment. So Medical Schools Council has put together a document on work experience in COVID-19 times. And it gives you some activities that you can do, so lots of them from home. So there are two really good virtual work experience tools for medicine. There's one by the Royal College of GPs called Observe GP, and Brighton and Sussex Medical School also have one which is really good. I heard one of the previous speakers talking about virtual experience in other healthcare, allied healthcare. I think that's really good too, and I would say that if you were interested in allied healthcare, have a look at the GP one, because it is a team activity. So personal statements. I think it's important to say that schools use them in a variety of ways, and there is a good chunk of schools that don't use them at all. Certainly in the sense that they won't score them. They won't give you a score for your personal statement. The most likely that they will do is ask you about things that you've put in your personal statement during your interview. So always a good top interview tip is to read your personal statement a couple of times before you go in, so that you know it back to front and you know what's going to come up, because you write it quite a long time before you go into interview, so it's very good to remind yourself. People always say, what makes a good personal statement? It has to sound like you, it has to be personal to you, and it has to be authentic. Obviously, you should get it checked for spelling and grammar issues as well. So I wanted to talk about contextual offers. And most medical schools will give some sort of adjusted offer from students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So, and if you meet those criteria, which might be criteria about whether you are disadvantaged in terms of your schooling, you come from a disadvantaged area, that sort of thing, they may be able to make you a lower offer in terms of A-level results, or they may just be able to fast track you to interview. So it's complicated, and the measures used across different schools can be difficult to find on their websites. And we are trying to bring those together in one place, but we're still working on that. But I would urge you to have a look at websites, and if you really can't find any information about what contextual routes medical schools have, please do ask. So there are loads of alternative routes to medicine, actually, rather than your standard 5-year course. We have 17 gateway courses in the UK. Now, these are 6-year courses designed specifically to support widening participation students. So they typically have a much lower A-level requirement or Scottish Highers, etc. And they give you an extra year of medical school to build your confidence, and just support you learning how to be a medical student. There are also 2 courses designed to support high achieving students who didn't take science A-levels, who made the wrong choice at A-level for medicine, not the wrong choice altogether. And there are 15 graduate entry courses for students with a degree. And that's also incredibly flexible. So you can have an arts degree, so you can have a degree in English or law or history and still go to medical school through some of those routes. Which brings me to a point that I seem to have lost the slide for, but I think it's really important, and I definitely wanted to get it across to you. Entry requirements are really important. You have to look carefully at them and make sure that you meet them. If the school is asking for an A in GCSE maths and you don't have an A in GCSE maths, do not apply for that medical school. It's not conditional, it's an absolute requirement, and therefore all that will happen to your application is they'll go, oh, no, doesn't meet our criteria, and it's to the bottom of the pile. So, and you won't get invited to interview. So you really have to make sure that you look at those entry requirements and make sure that you fit them. That's really important. And if a school is using particularly strong use of one of the aptitude tests, and you've got a good UCAT score, maybe you could move them higher up your list. The other thing I wanted to say about going to medical school is the next step on from medical school, which is the foundation programme, is done on a national basis. So that means it's a little bit different from other sort of degree courses that you might do, where which university you went to in the mind of employers can have quite a big impact. I don't think medicine has that to a very high degree, which means it's really good because you can pick a medical school that really suits you in terms of learning style and where it is in the country. So that would be something to bear in mind as well. So MFC, this is our website. We have a huge range of resources designed to support applicants. We do have some things for teachers and careers advisors, which of course applicants are also able to look at. And they just have little exercises in them that you can run with students or run yourself, and feedback from admissions deans as well. We have info sheets for students. These cover all the things that I've been talking about: interviews, personal statements, contextual information, and they are sort of just 2 sides of A4, give you the highlights and where to find out more information as well. Most popular thing that we do is our entry requirements booklet. I was telling you how important entries requirements are, and this is a resource that will really help you. So it lists every single course in the UK where you can study medicine. And it splits them into different types as well, and you can see information on A levels, what's required, what aptitude they use, what interview they use. And this is a really good way. It also has an interactive online site on the Medical Schools Council website as well. It's a really good way of looking about which schools you'd like to find out more about. It doesn't replace going to visit the medical school's website itself, going to open days, that sort of thing, but it's a really good place to start when you're trying to think about where to apply to. I also talked about earlier values and attributes needed to study medicine. So we talk about that a lot, and I think it's only fair that we explain what those are. So we've produced this document, and it not only does it set out what those values and attributes are, but it explains why medical schools want them as well, and also links to the general medical practices, the General Medical Council's Good Medical Practice document, which is the flagship ethical guidance for registered doctors. We also have an interview preparation site, so it's an interactive site. It gives you tips on interviews, and it also gives you some examples, so you can watch some videos of panel interviews and also multi-mini interviews style selection. And actually, I said that at the start that I thought that the vast majority of interviews would be going online, and we are actively in the process of writing guidance for applicants on how to prepare for online interviews and just how to get the best out of that process, because none of these things are designed to trip you up, and we do want to support you. So I am finished there, so I'm going to stop sharing and hopefully I'll come onto the video.
I can go and do it afterwards. Ben's going to take over the presenting, Sam.
Thank you so much, Claire, for giving up your Saturday to give us a quick whistle-stop tour about all the great support the Medical Schools Council have. And it's great to see how many more resources are now available for students, teachers, career advisors, parents, guardians, anyone interested in a career in medicine.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much again